Balake, where is Blake at?
My name's Blake.
Do you want to go to war, Balake? I'm for real. Ron.
Aaron's right here, everyone. I hope everyone out there in the SP Nation is having a fantastic Tuesday evening. I sure am. After I got a look at the latest documents in the latest lawsuit against David Miscavige, as soon as I saw these, I was like, oh my God, I got to do a video about this. I still haven't packed yet. My flight leaves in 8 hours for Los Angeles for the Danny Masterson sentencing. We got to go through these documents. It's not even going to be long. They are so short. They are so funny. They are so there's so much of a glimpse into the deception that Scientology tries to perpetrate upon the courts anytime someone is trying to serve David Miscavige. Remember, guys, Miscavige is currently facing 4 separate civil lawsuits. One is from Valerie Haney. That lawsuit is currently been derailed into arbitration, but after arbitration will make its way back into the court and we'll see what happens. The second lawsuit is the one from Valeska Paris, Gawain Baxter, Laura Baxter in Australia, former Sea Org members suing David Miscavige for various labor trafficking allegations and others. Then, of course, you have Leah Remini's lawsuit against David Miscavige and the Church of Scientology and RTC for fair game. And the one we're talking about tonight is the lawsuit brought by a Jane Doe, and it is against David Miscavige, Gavin Potter, Bridge Publications, Church of Scientology International, and maybe RTC. I can't remember. Okay, that's the one that we're talking about. That is the one that we're talking about. Documents have already been filed in this case attempting to serve David Miscavige at the legal and registered address of RTC, which is located in the Hollywood Guarantee Building on the corner of Hollywood and Ivar. I think on the Ivar Street, the address is like 1710 Ivar. I think on the Hollywood Street, it's 6331 Hollywood. 2 entrances, 1 building. The top floor of this building is dedicated to the Religious Technology Center, which is David Miscavige's corporation. Those offices are to be used by nobody but David Miscavige and his direct staff. The building itself is the location of Scientology's middle management. The entirety of Scientology middle management is located in that building, which happens to be why the top floor is all for RTC. Scientology has filed 4 separate declarations claiming Miscavige does not work there. No one's ever heard of him. No one's ever seen him. They don't go quite that far. But let me let me share this with you. The first one is from one Dylan Cruz, a relatively green Sea Org member, but let's take a look at this. A declaration of Dylan Cruz. I, Dylan Cruz, declare as follows. I have personal knowledge, I have been on staff of Church of Scientology International, CSI, since 2016. I am a security guard at the CSI office building at 6331 Hollywood Boulevard. Okay, I want to jump in here real quick. Now, he says he works for CSI. Now, most people in Scientology would think that means Church of Scientology International. That is what it stands for. But most Scientologists would interpret that to mean international, meaning international management. Most Scientologists believe international management is located in Gilman Hot Springs, California. They don't know that's where it's located because it's a secret, but they know it's some secret international management base located out in the desert. They don't even know it's out in the desert. It's just, sort of become popular knowledge these days that that's where it is. It's you'll hear it referred to as the INT base, the international base, the property, gold base, Golden Era Productions, all these kind of things. Scientologists refer to that as INT. I just personally find it interesting as a former Scientologist and a former Sea Org member that anybody working at the middle management building would refer to themselves as a staff member of the Church of Scientology International. That's not how those people speak in real life. Okay, so anyway, I've been a staff member of the Church of Scientology International since 2016. I'm a security guard at the CSI office building at 6331 Hollywood Boulevard. I do not work for a Religious Technology Center. I have never met or spoken to David Miscavige. I also want to jump in here. No security guard would ever be a staff member of RTC. No security guard would ever be a staff member of the Religious Technology Center. So it's not right. Like David Miscavige would never have any of his own staff being a security guard outside of a building. So the fact that the security guard at the building is not a staff member of RTC does not mean RTC's offices are not on the top floor. Okay, let's keep going. I do not work for the Religious Technology Center. I have never met or spoken to David Miscavige. Guys, that might sound like a simple statement. That is devastating. Okay. That is the location of Scientology's middle management. A guy who says he's been working there for 7 years is claiming to have never met David Miscavige. If you are a Scientologist in the world and you are presented with the information that a Sea Org member working in senior HCO, which I won't bother defining it, but it's a very senior management body that the security guards are staff of, that a Sea Org member working in senior HCO International for 7 years has never even met David Miscavige, that would be a huge red flag if it were in fact true. Now, we know this is not true. This guy's met David Miscavige. He's lying because Sea Org members will lie in sworn affidavits. But I just want to say, even if we were to take it to be true, it would actually be devastating Scientologically speaking, not legally speaking. Legally speaking, it's very convenient for Miscavige. Okay. I have never met or spoken to David Miscavige. On July 9:10 a.m., I was standing by the gate to the alley between the CSI building and the Knickerbocker Hotel. As church staff were coming off of a bus, I was not stationed at the door to Ivar Avenue. A man approached me and said he was looking for the mailroom and had papers for David Miscavige. He did not ask me who I was, who I worked for, or if I was in charge of the building or any office at the building. He did not ask me if I worked for RTC or if I had any relationship to David Miscavige. The security guards of that building are responsible for the building. None of them would ever work for David Miscavige. Technically speaking, everybody in Scientology works for David Miscavige, but that's kind of another matter. Okay. I said that I could not help him. He said that he was there to deliver this and gestured to an envelope without saying what it was. I told him that I could not receive that and had no authorization to accept any papers for anyone. I told him that the person who wanted to give the envelope to, David Miscavige, does not work here. That's Scientology being very, very cute. Because what does he does not work here mean? Does that mean ever? Because if that's true, if that's what it means, that's a false statement. Miscavige technically any place Miscavige is where he's working. I mean, the entire 12th floor of that building are offices dedicated to David Miscavige and his direct staff. Now, I don't think anyone, even in the Sea Org, could swear beyond a reasonable doubt when and where exactly Miscavige is choosing to locate himself at any given day. Even in Hollywood, there's even in Hollywood, he has places he can be. But anyway, I just see they're very cute with the language. Anyway, let's keep going. I told him that David Miscavige does not work here. Actually, I'm sorry. I want to go back to this. I want to go back to this. Okay. When people try to serve David Miscavige in California, they say he's in Florida. When people try to serve him in Florida, they say he's in California. Most people know that Scientology's main bases are in California and Clearwater, Florida. Yes, there's a base in East Grinstead, England. Yes, there's a base in Copenhagen, Denmark. There is a base in Sydney, Australia. There is there's a Sea Org base in Africa. There's a Sea Org base that never finished being built or never even started being built in Canada. There's a Sea Org base under construction in Mexico. Technically speaking, in the world of Scientology, any Sea Org base is a place Miscavige could be working. By the way, there's the Free Winds ship. He could be working on the ship. He could be anywhere. The point is, where does he have offices? Where does he work? And when they serve him in California, try to serve him in California, they say he's in Florida. When they try to serve him in Florida, they say he's in California. If they try to serve him at the HGB, they're going to say he doesn't work there. If they try to serve him at Scientology Media Productions, they're going to say he doesn't work there. If they try to serve him at the Author Services International building on Hollywood and La Brea, they're going to say he doesn't work there. If they try to serve him at the International Base in Gilman Hot Springs, they're going to say he doesn't work there. If they try to serve him at Flag in Clearwater, Florida, they're going to say he doesn't work there. But they never say where he does work. And that's because the whole point is just to evade. Okay. The man tried to enter the gate to the alley and then threw the papers on the ground in the alley. The man never approached the entrance door at 1710 Ivar Ave and left no papers there. He took a picture of me and walked away. I am a security guard, and I am not in charge of the 6331 Hollywood Boulevard office building, nor any part therein. Holy crap. I didn't even read that part yet. I am a security guard, and I am not in charge of the 6331 Hollywood Boulevard office building, nor any part therein. In a Scientology Sea Org base, on any Scientology Sea Org base, that is precisely what the security guards are in charge of. That entire damn building. The reason why, when you walk or drive down L. Ron Hubbard Way, Otto Huber and Roy Rodriguez come out on their bicycles in their security guard uniforms is because they're responsible for those buildings on L. Ron Hubbard Way. They're not responsible for the street. The street is public property. They're responsible for the buildings. They're responsible for the security of the buildings, for the security of the people inside the buildings. They're responsible for making sure the people inside the buildings don't escape. They're responsible for those buildings. So this is an actual sworn declaration completely contradicting the actual facts of the matter. That is exactly what security guards are responsible for. And by the way, I realize this is actually a little different than the normal world. In the normal world, a hired security guard, a night watchman, let's just be honest, I don't think I'm insulting anyone to say those people are low man on the totem pole at any organization where somebody would hire a security guard. In the Sea Org, security guards are some of the most senior people on the base. Let's take L. Ron Hubbard Way. Otto Huber and Roy Rodriguez, two of the security guards that ride around on their bikes, are senior to every single Sea Org member in the Los Angeles Org, ASHO, the American Saint. Oh, shit. Sorry, I didn't mean to do it. Let's do two thumbs up. Give me the fireworks. Okay. Otto and Roy are senior to every Sea Org member in the Los Angeles Org, the ASHO building, the American St. Hill Organization building, the AOLA building, the Advanced Organization of Los Angeles. They're senior to everybody. Things are different in Scientology. Security guards are not low men on the totem pole, not in Scientology. But Dylan Cruz is filling out this affidavit as if nobody would actually know that. You see what they're doing? Calling it cute is somewhat of an understatement. Okay, we got another one here. The next one that I want to show you is Marco Sacomano. So I, Marco Sanamano, declare as follows. I am on staff at the Church of Scientology International. I am the transport in charge. That's a fancy word for bus driver. I do not work for Religious Technology Center or David Miscavige, nor would you. I have no connection with his household, nor would you. I do not live at 6331 Hollywood Boulevard. Let me be clear. Nobody lives, technically, at 6331 Hollywood Boulevard. Here's where it gets interesting. There's only one person in that building who does actually have a residence if he chooses to use it, meaning a place to sleep, a bed, a shower, a closet. That's David Miscavige. David Miscavige is the only one who could say he has a residence in that building, but of course he doesn't. No other Sea Org member could say that they have a residence in that building. All right. I do not live. Okay. At approximately 9 a.m. on July 20th, I was walking toward the entrance of the CSI building located at 6331 Hollywood, which contains offices, not residences. Before I got to the entrance door, I noticed a stranger starting to move in my direction. He looked suspicious and dangerous, like one of those crazy people on Hollywood Boulevard. I didn't even read this all the way through before. He looked suspicious and dangerous. I got nervous and did not want him behind me, so I turned around and walked away. Yeah. Like Sea Org members just walk away from scary people on Hollywood Boulevard. These people are used to seeing scary people on Hollywood Boulevard 24/7. As I turned away, I noticed that he had something in his hands. It looked like a bag. I got even more nervous. Oh, my God. These people are coached to write things this way. I even got more nervous because I did not know what his purpose was or what he was going to do. I did not speak with this person, nor did I hear him say anything about serving papers on David Miscavige as I walked away. I never knew what the man had in the bag. What's in the bag? He did not give me any papers or drop any documents in front of me. I did not see him drop papers anywhere. I did not see him drop papers anywhere. Anyway, I'm a driver and I am not in any way in charge of the building. Well, that's true. Or any of the offices contained therein. I have nothing to do with the legal department of CSI. Well, that's true. Or any other church organization. Whoa. How can he say he has nothing to do with any other church organization when he just said he works for the Church of Scientology International, which isn't even a proper description of the corporation that he works for? Technically, there's a dozen different organizations in that building, of which clearly he does have something to do with because they're all Sea Org members and he lives with all of them and he works with all of them. And didn't he just say he drives them all around? So anyway. Okay. I do not know where Miscavige works or lives. Again, the fact that a Scientology Sea Org member claiming to work for the Church of Scientology International is saying in a sworn declaration, he has no idea where David Miscavige works. Guys, if that were true, which it's not, it's a blatantly false statement. If it were true, it would be a devastating truth to people in Scientology. David Miscavige is supposed to talks himself up as being the driving force behind all of Scientology International management. How could a staff member who works at Church of Scientology International have no idea where David Miscavige works? I guess he's not much of a driving force, is he? Okay. Let's see. There's a couple other good ones. I'm saving the best for last here. We're saving Lynn Farney for last. I forget which one of these is better. So anyway, we'll roll the dice here. Let's go with Warren McShane. Now, Warren McShane is a guy who Mike Rinder has said David Miscavige keeps around because according to David Miscavige, Warren McShane is the best liar David Miscavige has ever met. That is why he keeps Warren McShane around, specifically so that he can lie in depositions and declarations when needed. But apparently he's particularly good at lying in depositions. Okay, Warren McShane, I am the president of RTC. I have held, by the way, when I was still in Scientology, it was actually Marty Rathbun who at one point held the post of president RTC. Okay, Warren McShane, I am the president of RTC. I've held this position since 1993. That's interesting because to my knowledge, that is demonstrably not true. Marty Rathbun was the president of RTC after that, but who cares? I am the designated custodian of records for RTC. I have personal knowledge. Okay, RTC is an independent religious nonprofit corporation. Who cares? RTC's mailing address is 1710 Ivar Avenue. 1710 Ivar Avenue is not Mr. Miscavige's usual place of business. He has not worked at this location for close to 2 decades. An interesting choice of words. If someone had not been to a location in close to 20 years, I would probably I would probably say it is not his place of business. I would not say it's not his usual place of business. That makes it seem like sometimes he does business there, but then you want to say he hasn't been there for close to 20 years. Now, let me tell you something. If I were a Scientologist and someone told me David Miscavige had not been to middle management in an official capacity, had not worked at middle management, had not visited his own offices in the middle management building in close to 20 years, I would probably go, OMG, WTF. It is such a demonstrably false statement. Keep in mind, there's no such thing as international management anymore. The entire international management hierarchy of Scientology has been dismantled and no longer exists. The Watchdog Committee does not exist. The International Management Executive Committee does not exist. The point there is that middle management is international management now. And for David Miscavige to be representing, or for Warren McShane to be representing on his behalf in this declaration, that David Miscavige has not visited middle management in an official capacity in almost 20 years, only a court of law could fall for this bullshit, because nobody who understood a single thing about Scientology could ever fall for these declarations. And that's really what works in Scientology's favor. None of these judges know a damn thing about Scientology. None of their clerks do. The lawyers very rarely know enough to deal with this stuff correctly. But anyway, that's why I do these videos. Okay. Mr. Miscavige does not live at 1710 Ivar Avenue and never has. Technically speaking, that is probably true. Even though he can sleep there if he wants, he's probably, strictly speaking, never actually lived there. This is where it gets good, guys. There are Scientology churches and missions all around the world. There are hundreds of Scientology churches and missions in the United States alone. First of all, that's not true. There's about 50. Each separately incorporated. Just as there are many separate and independent Catholic churches and synagogues throughout Los Angeles, there are many. Oh, crap. Sorry, guys. I hit the wrong button. There are many. There are many separate churches of Scientology. In the greater Los Angeles area, there are the Church of Scientology of Pasadena, Inglewood, the Valley, Los Angeles, West US, and numerous individual Scientology missions. These churches are neither part of RTC nor controlled by RTC. The first statement is true. The second statement is false. These organizations are not part of RTC. Of course, RTC is a corporation. All these other organizations are a separate corporation. It says they are not controlled by RTC. That is an absolutely false statement. It might be legally passable in the eyes of a court for the reasons that each individual Church of Scientology has its own incorporation paperwork. It has its own, just for legal purposes, its own directors and secretaries, but they don't. I don't know if it actually does list the president. They basically take the most senior Scientology staff in that org and they give them fake positions on the corporate paperwork, like treasurer. In fact, I was just looking at updated paperwork for the Kansas City org, and just last week, and was reminded that each organization does this little work of fiction of making it look like it's got some, official corporate active corporate structure, when really all churches of Scientology are controlled by RTC. And the evidence from that is in every single international Scientology event where David Miscavige, as chairman of the board, RTC, is personally taking credit for every single initiative and program and everything that happens in every org. You see, RTC controls the trademarks of Scientology. RTC licensed those trademarks to the Church of Scientology International, which in turn can license the use of those trademarks to other churches of Scientology. The way Miscavige controls all organizations is by saying, you have to follow my orders or I'm going to pull your rights to use the trademark. When I was in the Sea Org in Los Angeles, David Miscavige was so pissed off at Captain John Lundeen of Ash O'Day that he yanked our trademark, our rights to the trademark to deliver power processing and power plus processing. David Miscavige personally yanked our rights to do power processing, which is one of the only reasons ASHO exists as an organization. And it was specifically because Captain John Lundeen had been not diligent enough in getting David Miscavige's orders executed. That is just a perfect example that I happen to experience firsthand of how churches of Scientology are controlled by RTC and David Miscavige. All right, moving on. The building at 1311 North New Hampshire houses the Church of Scientology West US. That's true. I don't really want to read all that. Okay. I have never heard of, nor am I familiar with any Church of Scientology connection to the 4751 Franklin Avenue address. Well, that's just silly. 4751 Franklin. I'd have to double check on a map what that is, but anyway. Okay, let's go to the next one. And I believe this is the last one, actually. Declaration of Lynn Farney. Lynn Farney, by the way, historical note. Lynn Farney's wife, I think her name's Evelyn, is the Scientology Sea Org member who was censured by the judge in the Lawrence Wollersheim case. By the way, some people have told me it's pronounced Wollersheim, but I've only ever heard it pronounced Wollersheim, so I got to pronounce it that way. She was censured for jury tampering and jury intimidation. And about 6 months later, she got in so much trouble for this, she tried to escape from the Sea organization and was captured and recovered. And Lynn Farney's wife currently works in the basement underneath L. Ron Hubbard Way as an addresso officer at AOLA, the Advanced Organization of Los Angeles. Just a friendly little historical note there. I, Lynn Farney, who is a man, I am the corporate secretary for the Church of Scientology International. I have held this position since June of 1988, and I have worked for CSI in an official capacity since 1984. I have personal knowledge. Okay, whatever. The building at 6331 Hollywood Boulevard, Los Angeles, is the corporate offices for CSI. True. It is not designed for or used as a personal residence for anyone, including Miscavige. As we just said, that's actually not true. It may not be used as his personal residence, but it certainly is designed to potentially be one. This was equally true in 2021 when I executed a declaration in support of Mr. Miscavige's notice of motion to quash. Don't care, don't care, don't care. CSI maintains a door camera. Oh, basically, he's just saying that I've reviewed the paperwork from the service. What do they call them? What do you call this? Someone who effectuates service? Guys in the live chat, what do you call someone whose job it is to serve someone papers? Process server. Okay. He basically reviewed the ring footage of the building and determined that the declaration from the process server was basically bullshit. I mean, that's all this says. That's all this says. I looked at the cameras and have determined Mr. Brendan Etter is incorrect. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Go straight to jail. Anyway, let's see. So one of the things I found most interesting about Warren McShane's statement about there's so many churches of Scientology in Los Angeles is what's the implication there? There's so many churches of Scientology. He could be working at any of them at any given time. Now, in the statement, you know, the point that he made was they're all separate, they're all independent. But what was the point? Like, if they're all separate and independent, there's no real reason to mention there's 10 different organizations in Los Angeles. To me, it was sort of implying he could be anywhere. Yes, he could be. But how come you're saying he hasn't been seen at middle management for 20 years? They essentially, I don't, am I reading too much into it? I read those papers as saying one guy's like, I've worked here at Scientology middle management for 7 years. I've never seen or met David Miscavige before. That is a devastating thing to say. It's like, what part of Scientology are we to believe David Miscavige deeply cares about, if not middle management? That is essentially international management. Where are we to believe David Miscavige spends his time? And when I say we, I actually mean like just pretend we're Scientologists. Where are we supposed to believe David Miscavige spends any of his time, if not at international management and not at middle management? Is he really riding motorcycles with Tom Cruise all the time? Is he hanging out with Tom Cruise, just trying to help him find a new girlfriend all the time? By the way, I don't know that he would be much help in that, since Miscavige himself can't seem to find his own wife. If he can't find his own wife, how's he going to find Tom Cruise a new wife or a new girlfriend? Anyway, I'm just having a little bit of fun. All right, guys, I just wanted to show you that. Just more shenanigans. You know what? This is what Scientology uses its tax-exempt dollars to do, hire these lawyers to take these ridiculous declarations, perpetrate all this fraud upon the court, delay. I don't think it's going to work. It's not going to work, Davey. It'll work. The delay tactics will work. By the way, you guys see my new life-size David Miscavige doll, right? Captain, this is Lil Captain David Miscavige. This is life-size. Can't get these just anywhere, guys. All right. We've had enough fun for this evening. I got to pack. I got to go to the airport tomorrow. I'll be in LA tomorrow. I'll be in court 7 o'clock in the morning on Thursday. It's going to be crazy, you guys. It's going to be crazy. Let me just hit the super chats and then we'll call it a night. Hey, Aaron, love your channel. F Scientology. Thank you, Laura. Dawn in Wyoming. I'm a WOG and I know better than that. Wow. Love it. Thank you, Dawn. Diana Ornelis. Plan on being there Thursday. Hope to see you then. Guys, everyone who asks me, I'm telling you, it's going to be next to impossible to get into the courtroom. The courtroom is very small. The whole left side of the courtroom is for Danny. On the right side of the courtroom, Danny and his peoples. Okay. And he's got enough peoples to fill up that left side of the courtroom. On the right side, the entire front row is going to be for the Jane Does and their associated personnel associated with the Jane Does. The back row is all media. No one's allowed to sit there but media. The middle row is the only seats available to the public, and that fits like 10 or 12 people. If you want to come and you want to have any chance of getting a seat, you're going to have to show up at 7 a.m. at the courthouse, Clara Shortridge Foltz Criminal Justice Center. So I'll see you. If you're there, Diana, I'll see you. Whether you make it into the courtroom or not, you'll at least be able to get up to the 9th floor. That's the secure floor where everything's going to be taking place. So I'll see you. Anyone who makes it up to the 9th floor, I will see you there, even if you don't make it into the courtroom. Thank you for that, Andrea Bayer. WOG for life. Oh my God. My favoriteest thing is non-Scientologists using the word WOG. It's wonderful. WOG for life. I remember in the 80s being pulled off Hollywood Boulevard to take a personality test. No, thank you. Aaron, do you have a book? I do not have a book. I have one loose idea for a book that will probably never happen. But I do not. Thank you for asking, Andrea. Blake Reed, David Miscavige, get out here and catch these SP thumpers. Hell yeah. Thank you, Blake. Catherine Olson, Marco S was last in income. Wow. What? And he got busted down to bus driver. Was he the one, Kate, who was now a bus driver, or was he the security guard? No, that was the bus driver. For many, by the way, Income is one of the most senior Scientology organizations that there is. So this is an example of how Scientology treats its staff. He's one of the most senior Scientology executives. Now you're a bus driver. I guess they busted him. Transport officer is part of external comm. There you go. Thank you, Catherine. Michelle Carpenter, there were no papers here nor there. There were no papers anywhere. These are not serious people. You said it. Exactly. Marcia Bentley, now is RTC tax exempt and not, how is RTC tax exempt and not part of the Church of Scientology? They're only legally, meaning RTC is technically part of, well, I guess it depends on what you mean by technically and legally. The Church of Scientology International is the name of a corporation. RTC is the name of a corporation. RTC is part of Scientology, but RTC is a separate corporation from the Church of Scientology International, and they are all associated organizations are tax exempt. Cheryl Neal, have the process servers carefully examined all of the garden gnomes they might be able to serve? Yes, David Miscavige could be hiding inside one of the garden gnome statues, guys. I told you, oftentimes, Miscavige can be found in Tom Cruise's duffel bag or Joe Rogan's fanny pack. I don't think the process servers have looked there yet. Dawn in Wyoming, aren't you the media? I say yes. Dawn in Wyoming, I literally have a media pass to cover the trial. That's why I'm guaranteed a seat. I'm one of there was only 15 media passes issued. And by the way, when I say not just issued for the sentencing, issued for the second trial itself. So I was one of the 15 media people issued a press pass, and the press pass that I got for the trial is applicable to the sentencing. No additional press passes have been issued specifically for the sentencing. So I will be there at 7 just to make sure, like there are people who have permanent media passes. And even, so there are media people who are above and beyond the 15 media passes that have been handed out. And those people might descend upon the courthouse and try to take those media seats, even though they weren't issued passes specifically for this trial. So, even though I'm sort of quote unquote guaranteed a seat, I'm still showing up at 7 to make sure I'm at the front of that, right at that door when it opens up for the media folks. Might have to throw an elbow or something, but I'm going prepared. Bessie Knox, how is WOG a racial slur? What does WOG mean? So WOG is not a racial slur in the United States. It is in the UK. It is in Australia. It is in many parts of Europe. I know in Australia, it's used to refer to Italians. If my information is correct, I only know what people from Australia have told me. And in London, it tends to be used to refer to non-white people. It's just not a bad word in the United States. So I know sometimes the people in the UK are shocked when they hear us reference that word, but they're also shocked when I say Joe Rogan's fanny pack, because that means something different too now, doesn't it? All right. Dawn in Wyoming. Yes. Yes, indeed, Dawn. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me again this evening. I'm going to call it a night and start packing. Thank you, as always, to everyone who watches until the very end, and I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, oh, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe